In this tutorial, we will take a look how we can make this enemy chase and enemy rotation in a top-down 2D game. And before we jump into this tutorial, I want to thank Juan for joining Patreon membership and unlocking exclusive benefits. If you are guys interested, then you can check it out. I will have the link in the description, and also make sure you check out my Unity 6 and C# programming courses on my Udemy page. Of course, I will have the link in the description, so make sure you check it out. So without further delay, let's dive into this tutorial. As you can see, I have created this anime. So I'm gonna add some components to this anime game object. So let's click on add component, and I'm gonna add a rigid body 2D, a rigid body, a rigid body 2D, rigid body 2D, and let's set the collision detection to continuous, and gravity scale I'm gonna set it to 0, so it's not gonna fall down due to gravity. Or we can simply make the body type to kinematic, so it's not gonna fall down. Interpolate to interpolate for making out smooth, and that's all we have to do. And now we're gonna create a script in order to chase our player. To do so, let's go to project tab, assets. Let's right click there, create mono behavior script, name it to something like enemy. I already created a script called enemy over here, you can see. So let's attach this script to our enemy game object, and now we're gonna open this up by double clicking on it. So the first thing what we need a reference to our player position so we can chase our player, and also we need a speed and all of those things. So let's go to our script, let's go to top of our class, and over here we're gonna grab the reference. So we're gonna make a public float, and we can call this one chase speed. Sorry, this will be public. Let's make a public float, and we're gonna call this one chase speed. And by default I'm gonna set it to something around 3f, just like that. And we also need a reference to that player position, so let's make a public transform which is responsible for position, and we can call it player or player position. And now we can save our script, and we can just drag the reference. So I will head over to this update function, and over here to chase our player we're just gonna set the position of our enemy. So we're gonna set transform dot position, means the enemy position, enemy position, and we're gonna set the equal to the position or the game object that we want to chase. So we can just put it over here. So we're gonna use this vector2, a vector2 dot move towards function, and this function as a first argument it's gonna take the current position where you at right now, and the second thing it's gonna target position where you want to go or which game object you want to chase, and the third parameter it's gonna take the speed you can think of. So we're gonna put one by one. So the first we're gonna put transform dot position, means the current position of enemy itself, and then target position we're gonna pass our player dot position, since we want to chase our player. And the third argument the speed, so I'm gonna put my chase speed, and also make sure you just multiply with time dot delta time to make it frame rate independence. And now we're gonna close that up with semicolon. So we just set the current position of our enemy equal to this, means where we just want to go or want to chase. And now if we save our script, navigate to Unity editor, we need to drag one by one those reference. Now let's take our player in a hierarchy, let's drag it over to this player transform field. Now we have the player position, and if we go ahead, as soon as we started moving we can notice that enemy is chasing our player. But however it's just it's not restricting itself, it's just overlapping with our player, which we really don't want. So let's get out of play mode. So we're gonna define a retrieve distance before we chase. If we get some certain range, then this enemy need to stop. So let's open up our script quickly, and for that let's go to top of our class, and let's declare a variable. So we're gonna make a public float, and let's call this one retrieve distance, just like that. And by default I'm gonna set it to something like 2.5 unit. And now what we're gonna do, so before we chase our player, we just want to check the distance between them. So we chasing this line of code is responsible for chasing. So before we chase, we're gonna check. So let's use the if condition, and if we will check that the distance between them. And to check with, we're gonna use this vector2 dot distance function. And this distance function, vector2 dot distance, is gonna take two position and it's gonna compare between them. So the first we're gonna pass on position, which is transform dot position, and the second thing we're gonna pass our player dot position, means the target one, where you or where we want to go. So if the distance between them, if it's greater than retrieve distance, if it's greater than retrieve distance, means that the enemy is not close too much yet to our player. So retrieve distance, basically the distance between them, it is still greater than retrieve distance. That means we just want to chase our player, because enemy is not close enough. So that's why we're gonna take this line of code and we're gonna put it there. So let's put it over here. Else let's suppose the distance between them is now close. So what we can do, we can simply shoot on our player. For now we're gonna print out a message. So else we're gonna type, if the distance between them, if it's not greater than retrieve distance, means the means our enemy is now close to our player with a range, some certain range. It means we're gonna shoot on our player. So for now I'm gonna print out a message debug.log, and I'm gonna say something like enemy is close to player, now shoot. Just like that we're gonna print out now shoot. That's all we have to do. Let's close that up with semicolon, head again to Unity editor. We can play around with the retrieve distance. I'm gonna set it to something like 3, and I will take my enemy and I'm gonna move it a little bit farther away, somewhere around here, and let's play our game. And we can see enemy is chasing our player, but once it's get close enough, we can see it's stop. So we need to make the retrieve distance a little bit bigger number. So I'm gonna get out of play mode and I'm gonna choose the retrieve distance, something around 8 unit. And I'm gonna take away my enemy once again further away, and chase speed I'm gonna make something like 4.5. And let's check with this. We can see enemy is chasing our player, and once it's gained attack range or retrieve distance close enough basically to our player, we can see enemy stops right there. And if we get out of that, we can see enemy is chasing our player. And if we take a look at console tab, we can see enemy is close to player, now shoot. But one thing we have to do, that we need to rotate our enemy in the direction a player is going, or a player is standing, just like that. So we're gonna do that. So let's get out of play mode, and let me explain the logic. So the first thing what we need to get the direction, because we have to get the angle. And if we get the angle of this enemy, then we can just rotate our enemy in the direction player is going, or just standing, just like that. So we need to subtract our own position from our player. So let's go over to script, and to subtract distance, we're going to make a variable for our direction. Before we get the angle, we need to get the direction. To get there, let's go to top of our class, and let's make a private vector2 parameter, and this we can call this one direction. So let's call this one direction, and we're going to close that up with semicolon. And now we're going to set the direction. So we will set our direction equal to, so we need to subtract our position. So firstly we're gonna type our player dot position, wherever player is, and we just have to subtract our from our player position own position. We have to subtract own position from our player position, so we're gonna get the direction. So so that's why we type player dot position, and now we're gonna subtract own position. So let's type transform dot position, means the current position of enemy. Now we just get the direction, and we have the direction, and we're gonna get the angle. So let's get the angle by now. To get the angle, let's use this float, and we can call this angle, and that will be float type. And to get the angle, we have to use this called mathf a tan2 function. And this a22 function, it's going to take the y and the x of direction. Basically the x, we just get the direction. Now we have to get the direction dot x and direction dot y. So we're gonna get the angle. Basically it's gonna give us the angle. So as a first argument, we're gonna pass direction dot y, means the vertical one. And now we have to divide that, so we need to type this comma in order to divide. So we have to divide with direction dot x. And now we just get the direction, and we just get the angle, and we put it into this float angle variable. But it's gonna give us in radian value. We need to get it in degrees. So what we have to do, we simply need to multiply with mathf. So we're gonna multiply with mathf dot red to deck. Sorry, red to deck. Now it's gonna get, now we just get the angle in degrees. And to rotate our enemy, we have to use this transform dot rotation, means the enemy rotation. And we're going to set the rotation equal to quaternion dot angle axis function. And this quaternion dot angle axis, as a first argument, it's going to take the angle. So let's put our angle, and the second thing, it's going to take the axis. So if we navigate to Unity editor, select enemy, and play around with the z rotation of this enemy, we can notice enemy is rotating. So we basically need to put there vector 3. We need to put there vector 3 dot forward. It's basically means the z rotation, or rotation in the z axis. So this quaternion dot angle axis, it's basically rotates. And as a first argument, it's as an parameter, it took the angle. And the second thing, it took the axis. And now we just rotate it, means thus we just set the rotation of our enemy equal to this. And now we can save our script, and if we go over to Unity editor, it will be fine. We can see by now it's rotating, but however we can see the angle is wrong. So we need to get, we're gonna get out of play mode. We need to add 90 degree to that angle of this enemy, and top of this angle, let's add 90 degree or 90f, just like that. By now we can notice that this enemy is rotating in the direction our player is going. And I will see you in the next tutorial.